Hello, Susan. Good morning. How are you?
Good.
Oh, this is my granddaughter, Talia.
And Talia's made amazing progress, hasn't she?
Amazing, amazing. When she was first born, she was diagnosed as pyruvate dehydrogenase, and then we found out she wasn't that. But she was so tiny, and there was such a worry that she may not live for a long time. She hardly moved. She couldn't even eat or drink or suck. So to see her like this, standing and making all this progress, is a miracle. And many of the doctors didn't know what was happening with Talia. And I watched my daughter go through such a lot of grief, with not knowing. And I also watched something that I've been teaching all my life, and to watch it personally is something else. I watched my daughter heal this girl to love. And look at her now. She's standing, which she couldn't do a few months ago. She's saying a few words, which she couldn't do at all. She was always floppy. So miracles do happen with love. And how does it work, In our yoga tradition, we talk about as you think, it becomes. So really my work in the world is showing people that by changing the thought process, you actually can change events in your life. Not that you can change the event or circumstance as such, but by seeing the best in an event, you bring out the best of it. So in other words, by my daughter Shani accepting Talia as she was, rather than complaining and being angry and saying, why God, and my life is totally changed now, I can't do anything for myself, her attitude was totally selfless. And saying that, okay, she's come to me as a gift, and I'm willing to dedicate my entire life to her. And with this selfless attitude, which is unconditional love, many things can heal and many people can heal. I think our world is learning about that more and more as time is going by. Doctors are doing lots of experiments. Simple example, when anybody is young, they're ill, in walks mom, and they're better. Haven't you felt that, Susan, when you were younger?
Yeah, it's true.
I know I was always sick with asthma. Mom walks in and suddenly I'm 100% better. See my mom's face. So it's kind of like that. When you feel that unconditional love, you do heal. I've been doing counseling for over 20 years now, using yoga philosophy, and I have seen that in most cases, suffering occurs because there is a lack of this acceptance of what is.
But it's really tough for people to accept, isn't it?
So hard. That's why when they do achieve it, it's such a great accomplishment. I used to think, it was very difficult, but after my granddaughter, Talia, was born special needs, and she's really special, by the way, I met some incredible human beings, who have special needs children as well. And again, I see where there is love, there is some kind of healing. Sometimes maybe they don't heal the way the parents want to, but they do heal in the sense that the whole family gets together. And there is a purpose to life. It's just not get up in the morning, make your money, go to sleep. There's no purpose. I think these children bring in a purpose. And I've seen many of the parents, because they have suffered, they want to help others too. Of course, and those that don't. I've also met those in my life. Live a terrible life of great suffering. And it's not anybody's fault. We're just never taught. We're just never taught in schools that as you think so it becomes, to accept, to learn. If we're taught this, and if you have somebody who encourages you, then the road becomes much easier. That's all. That's all. We can't change many things, but we can make it easier for ourselves and much more fun.
So how can people start along this thought process? How can they begin with this way of thinking?
Well, the first thing to do is spend time with oneself in silence. We're surrounded by so much noise. And to realize that ultimately this life is temporary. We're really spiritual beings or souls living in this human body. And to spend more time with the energy of the soul, because the soul has vibrant energy. It's like a car and petrol. Does a car work without petrol? It doesn't. So the body doesn't work at its full capacity without understanding who we are and what we are. So just as you would charge a mobile phone because it runs out of battery, we need to charge ourselves. And how do you charge yourself? By giving you more energy to deal with the pains of the world, with the suffering of the world. You charge yourself by having quiet time, by studying about who you are and what you are. Okay, I'm soul in this body. Ultimately, there's two things I can be sure of in this life, if nothing else, is that there is change and that there is death. So knowing all that, how can I live my life? You want to live it well. You want to live it well. So study of what you are and who you are, spending time in silence, watching your thoughts. And we have this practice in yoga. Oh, look at this sweet girl. We have this practice in yoga called Pratipaksha Bhavana, which means replacing a negative thought with something positive. Now many people, when they have a negative thought, they punish themselves. That's not the idea. You know, we're human. We're all going to have negative thoughts sometime or other. It's to understand that you have it, but not to dwell on it, not to grasp it, as the Buddhist would say, but to take that thought and think of something beautiful instead. Just replace it with something beautiful. You know, so if you're having a miserable day, bring to your mind a happy moment, something that you remember. This practice gives you much strength. Also learning about the way you think, you know. What's your mind? What's your process? What do you think in the whole day? Do you do anything that's meaningful for you and your family and life in general? You know? Because when we do, we're all connected. Again, scientists have said there's one consciousness and we're part of that one consciousness. So really, in the final analysis, we're all brothers and sisters. And when we have wars and we don't accept things, we get angry, we separate ourselves from this dynamic energy. So watching my daughter connect with the energy of love, you know, because this is the connection. The Upanishads speak of God as the Lord of love, no larger than a thumb, and lives in the heart of all. That means this divine energy lives within all of us. So we're able to tap it. We can deal with a lot of problems in our life, and that's the secret. To tap that energy and to accept whatever comes with joy. I mean, it's going to be hard. I mean, I've seen my daughter have terrible times, you know.
So what advice would you give to people when they're having those terrible times and they can't feel positive? How can they get through the really tough days?
It's really important to find a positive friend that can help them, or somebody who uplifts. It's, you know, we call it satsang, which means being in the company of the truth, being in the company of people who will elevate you. If you can't do it yourself, you shouldn't be embarrassed to ask somebody to help you. Or attend spiritual meetings. I mean, if you're not into that, then read positive books. There are many beautiful self-help books in the world, you know. So that's how I would advise them to do it.
Choosing your friends carefully, choosing the people.
Very carefully. Because you don't want to be around people who you know, kind of say, oh, poor you, have pity for you, because that would just make you feel worse. You want people to say, come on, let's get together, let's see what we can do.
And there's a risk of that with a special needs child, isn't there?
Always.
That people will
feel sorry for you.
Yeah.
And you start feeling sorry for yourself. And then it's a downward spiral for the whole family. The whole family breaks up, and there are money problems, because there are always money problems, because it's very expensive to look after a special needs child. So all this gets into the way of relationships. So family can sit together and discuss their fears. Discuss their fears. I think it's very important, father and mother, the parents and siblings, to sit together and discuss the child as it is, and you know, work together and say, look, what can we do to help each other? If you have a bad day, I'm there. And this kind of communication makes the whole experience far more spiritual and lovely. So that's what I would advise. But communication is difficult when you're in pain, as you know. So seek help. Seek help. That's what I would advise.